Hi, I'm Martyn, and welcome to the latest PopBucket podcast. With me today is James.
Hello.
Michael.
Hello.
And joining us for the first time is Gareth.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on our lovely podcast.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Wonderful. How's everyone been doing?
Yeah, pretty
Fantastic.
good, man. Been pretty busy. Pretty busy.
Yeah, we're getting to that busy period of games. November's coming in.
I know, the Christmas run up.
Yeah.
The next generation is all kicking off. But no, I do like this time of year. Like it's kind of chaotic, trying to juggle everything. But yeah, it's been good. I
finally got into the World of Tanks beta, which was my ambition for a long time.
That's sweet.
I got in like a day before it went open beta the weekend, and I enjoy shooting stuff in a fictional tank. So what can I say?
It looks really good actually. But do you know how many people are in the beta? Is it kind of?
Well, I've never had any trouble getting a match. I don't know how many people are actually in, but it's fairly big teams. 12 plus either side, I think. So yeah, very enjoyable. Often quite frantic, quite tactical as well. If you go off Rambo, you're going to get owned. So
Yeah,
I definitely recommend it.
I didn't realise there was that many players actually. That's quite. It could be potentially quite big maps. I like that.
Yeah, they are. They're fairly sizable. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, we will try and all play each other one day in our little tanks.
Yay!
That could be really fun.
Yeah, I reckon.
Might get a little competitive though.
I think it will.
Yeah. But I've been playing a bit of BioShock Infinite's DLC.
Oh, cool. How was it?
The Burial Sea one. What did I give it? A 7? I can't remember. It's only a couple of days ago now.
You did give it a 7, yeah.
Yeah,
That's unfair.
I gave the main game 10, but I gave this DLC 7. I did really enjoy it, but I thought, was it for 12 quid? And it's like an hour and a half long.
Oh.
That's more expensive than films.
It's a big investment, isn't it?
That ratio.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it seemed odd that they spent years creating Columbia for BioShock Infinite, and then they not use it for the DLC, for the main story DLC.
Yeah.
I really loved Columbia, to be honest. Like I loved Rapture, but by the end of BioShock 2, I was quite ready to leave Rapture. I'd kind of seen quite enough of it, but with Columbia, there was it's a massive location. There's so much more they could have actually explored, I think, there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, perhaps Burial Sea is the type of thing they could have done like in another sequel and done a proper job of it. Because 7 out of 10 sounds like very reasonable, to be honest, because it seems like the type of thing that is so story driven, but there's not so much combat. Am I right in saying that?
Well, in the DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mike, you're the only one who hasn't played it, aren't you?
Yep, I'll put my hands up and say I haven't.
Because you should play the BioShock series. It's great.
Yeah,
Infinite had big battle scenes. It had, say, like a handyman. It had like 24 goons, especially on the last level. If you remember, you had turrets going left, right, and centre. Was it rockets?
Yeah,
it was
skyhooks as well.
Bird flying down, messing stuff up.
It was crazy. Whereas it was back to they dialed it to Rapture's level, where you had maybe 4 or 5 at a time, and they sort of run at you a bit like a zombie horde to an extent. Sort of trying to smash you with a spanner. Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying is the combat wasn't as intense or involving.
No. It's just different. It was actually more atmosphere. Columbia had lots of atmosphere, but Rapture always, to me, had the scary atmosphere where you stalking around this ruined city where you had the crazed ramblings of the splicers.
Yeah, there was always something lurking, wasn't there? It was quite dark and shady, and you knew there was going to be something around every corner. Whereas kind of Columbia was a lot more open. You can kind of clear lines of sight and whatnot. And it was more about the scale of the thing, wasn't it? And where the enemies are going to come from.
Yeah. So the combat was perfectly good. You had a radar gun that you can make splicers explode if you hold it on them long enough.
Yeah?
Yeah, that to me the whole time I had this radar gun, and it just popped into my head. This reminds me of this N64 South Park game with the dancing ray gun
Oh yeah.
Oh, I remember that. What hell launcher as well.
Yeah.
What was the song on that? There was
I
like
like
a
to
really...
sing on the moon around the dude and the singer. It's like my first episode of South Park. I just wanted the Splicers to start getting big rosy cheeks and we start jiving to a song. But if you get the season pass, it's definitely worth for fans paying it. But it is a little bit on the steep side, unfortunately, the DLC. But,
yeah, I mean, I bought the season pass like immediately after finishing sort of BioShock Infinite because I thought it would do something.
Yeah.
And then we had to wait like sort of 6 months or something for DLC to come out. But no, I've not downloaded Burial at Sea yet. I mean, I will do because obviously I paid for it. But no, I was quite encouraged by your review. But I think anyone that hadn't already shelled out for it. It is quite a big investment, isn't it? Considering sort of the hours that you got out of the main game and the sort of ratio, sort of value to money, it doesn't really add up, I don't think.
See what Borderlands 2 and 1 did with their DLC.
Yeah.
And the value of that for like £5, and you got like hours and hours and hours, loads of new things and stuff like that. But it's worth a play.
Like the Skyrim stuff, I was thinking like, you download a Skyrim bit of DLC for like a tenner, and you've got like 30 hours of gameplay probably.
Yeah. That's proper value for money there.
So
it's excessive, isn't it?
That was one of the main things. I did play Lego Marvel as well.
Ooh.
That was great. I gave that 9 out of 10.
I really enjoyed playing that actually at the Eurogamer. We spent maybe 40-50 minutes playing it. It's great fun.
Is there anything new in it? Is it quite like a step up for the Lego series?
It is the best one in the series. It still keeps the very handheld nature, like colour-coded switches and things like that. So you can do it on autopilot. But you got like the big things like Hulk and the Thing can smash their way through. There's a bit more variety. Not much, but it's the best story. It's a bit crazier. You've got Wolverine and the Captain America and Storm fighting one mission. Then it switches to Iron Man and the Hulk taking on Sandman in the first mission. It's much bigger variety.
It's a proper mashup of characters, which I suppose that means the style kind of varies a bit between levels. It
does a bit. You got mixed of varieties. You say the first mission's Grand Central Station's been taken over by Sandman, so that's half buried in sand. Then you go to the obligatory sort of underground laboratories. You've got underwater sections. You sort of go up to space and things like that. He does ships, everything. It's huge variety, more than the Lego Batman ones.
And does it have
Lord of the Rings?
I haven't played the Lego Lord of the Rings, actually.
It is. I think it is more akin to Lego Lord of the Rings, Gareth, in the sort of open world kind of nature of it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of characters as well that they, like in Lego Lord of the Rings, they've all got their own sort of unique moves, and you need them to sort of navigate certain parts of the levels. But I think there did seem to be more characters when I played Marvel, actually, for some reason. Maybe it's just perception, but
150.
Loads of characters in Lego Lord of the Rings as well, wasn't there? There's a really big character roster in that one.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what would happen if you dropped Lego Tom Bombadil into the Marvel Universe Lego. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's worth a play if you like. Just like it's essentially a sequel to the Avengers Assemble, or the Avengers, whatever one you want to call the film. It's just they allude to events. It's just a good fun, simple, straightforward, but enjoyable little romp.
Yeah.
And they reference Croydon in it as well on the trophies list.
Oh,
nice. Yeah, so
it's a nice reference. Is it flattering?
Yeah, because it's based on. Well, I haven't seen Iron Man 3, but it's based on the same.
That
joke.
guy.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's based on the same joke on that. So, well, anyway, that's what I've been up to. Apart from a bit of Call of Duty, that's gets enough attention as it is. So I'll skim over that this week. But enjoy Ghosts. But what's everyone else been up to?
I can tell you what I haven't been watching. I haven't been watching Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's all me.
Because I've sort of pushed past the point where I'm going, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. No, it's not going to get better. It's the tech people, the tech guys are so infuriating for me.
Is that the Glaswegian kind of guy and the other? Yeah, I'm in exactly the same place as you, to be honest, mate. Like, we stopped watching it after, like, I think it was the second episode because it just didn't get anywhere.
I think I got to about 3 or 4 because I heard that Joss Whedon was like, he wasn't the showrunner. He was more in the background on this, so he's not got as much creative control. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it's really bad.
They always do that for like the first episode of a new series. They get the director of a film or something to do the first episode, and then they never have any more involvement.
Then they let the kids play in the sandbox and they mess it up.
To an extent, yeah. Sometimes it works. Was it Martin Scorsese did Boardwalk Empires first?
Yes.
So it does work, but then it can
backfire as well.
Equally backfire.
I just think they got the balance completely wrong between, comedy and action, and obviously they're trying to disguise the fact they don't have a movie budget, but you can do that and still have interesting characters. And I think they haven't done that. They've just got stereotypes basically for characters. They've got a hacker that's impossibly glamorous for someone who was supposed to live out the back of a van, who has like a glamour model hairstyle and everything, and they've got like. It's going to make me angry talking about it. What have you been doing this week, James?
Saturday. Let's keep things calm. Let's not infuriate
I'm cool.
Moving on. I reviewed a game called Deadfall Adventures, which came out on Friday, which was basically quite a simple kind of first-person shooter with kind of a decent puzzle mechanic. As a shooter, it's pretty clunky. Kind of really bad aiming. You can do iron sights aiming like the Call of Duty games, but it's just horrible. You'd struggle to get sort of a headshot, really. But it's, looking at other people's reviews, it got a lot of 1s and 2s, which I kind of felt was a bit overly harsh. Overly harsh, yeah. I mean, even at this stage in sort of the current generation, I still think it wasn't unplayable, to be honest. You played it as well, didn't you, Martyn?
I played it for about half an hour. It is playable. It's not fun to play. It's not a broken game as such. The iron sights don't work well, but you can shoot enemies fine to an extent and stuff like that.
It's more frustrating, isn't it, than sort of impossible. I mean, it's not even. I wouldn't even say that the difficulty was particularly hard. It's just because the mechanics are just a little bit loose, really.
The closest game comparison is an FPS Uncharted, essentially. So it's just nowhere near the production of Uncharted.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest flaws for me really was the characters. Like the main character is, and it's based on a series of books. I can't really comment on the books because I've never read them, but it's based on the Quatermain novels. Have you ever heard of them?
No. I've heard of the character, yeah.
Yeah, James Lee Quatermain from. I think it's Haggard that wrote them. I'd never actually heard of them, but show my ignorance there. But
wasn't he in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen when they did that sort of failed crossover? Like it was Alan Quatermain. I think he was one of the characters in that film. Sean Connery played him.
They do reference him actually. He's the grandfather, or maybe his father. Yeah.
All right.
So it's even more like Indiana Jones. With Sean Connery as a dad.
Even Sean Connery can't make this character cool though. Like he is just like a peasant's Indiana Jones. He's like oversexed, just a drunk fool really, who just spends most of his time sort of leching on his co-workers. But just really not a likable character. Oh well. So yeah, but it was good. Some of the puzzles were good actually. I did find those quite engaging and quite challenging sometimes. You've got this cool little notebook that you carry around with you, which kind of changes as you go into different areas. So it gives you little tips on how to solve puzzles, but it's all quite cryptic. So it's actually deciphering it is part of the puzzle. but which is quite a nice mechanic.
Another element of the puzzle is I thought sometimes trying to see what's actually on the notebook. I could hardly read what was on there.
It was tiny, wasn't it?
It was tiny. It was microscopic.
Yeah, I was thinking, do I need my eyes tested again? Well, my glasses failing me, and I was like, I'll sit a bit closer to the screen. But actually, sometimes it's really dark as well. So looking at this notebook in your hand, you have to go and stand under a torch or something to do it. It's a little bit too much realism, maybe.
But they had some decent ideas. It's just the execution. Yeah. Mm. Thank you, Mike, for that.
That's all right. I'll lob in the odd word when I can.
At least we're in sync. We said the same words, so we're great minds think alike. That's what they say.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was a horrible game. I gave it a 6, and the review's up on site now if you want to go and read it. But if you're looking for a shooter, maybe go with Call of Duty.
Yeah, fair enough. Gareth, you been up to anything cool? Played anything decent?
Never cool with me, but
that's a bold-faced lie.
I've been playing quite a lot actually the last 2 weeks. I was doing Batman, which I am enjoying. I will admit. I think some of the reviews for it have been incredibly harsh. I think we've got this kind of culture in games where we expect everything to move on substantially whenever there's a new iteration of that franchise out. And I think we haven't really waited that long for Origins. It's not really like we've been sat around anticipating it for such a long time. And I think as a result, they've just given us exactly what we wanted with City, and just again, and I don't think there's really much wrong with that if it's a stopgap in between a new Rocksteady sequel.
Yeah.
I think it's just keeping this going until they can come up with something brilliant on next gen. I mean, if that didn't happen, which I think is highly unlikely, that would make me quite angry at Arkham Origins. But as a game, it's still got everything we like about City in it. I think the only problems with it, however, is the fact that a lot of the stuff they did do with City has been done a lot worse. So combats, the camera angles don't work as well. I think it's actually a bit more difficult chaining combos together. A lot of the exploration elements in Gotham don't quite work as well. That can be quite awkward as well. And also, I think the thing that bugs me the most about it is, in Arkham City, it was this part of the prison, and that as a result, it was like, yeah, it makes sense there's criminals everywhere, But in Arkham Origins, it's like you're in the whole of Gotham. And that's like there's no normal people around. It's just everyone's a criminal. Like, well, bloody Batman's got his work cut out for him, hasn't he? Crikey. You're all man down the road's a criminal as well. So it's a bit odd, but I do like it. It's not anything cool. It's not a big change, but the story's not that bad. The introduction to the Joker's really cool. So I think it's okay. I think I'm going to do my write-up this weekend. But I'm thinking maybe sort of 7.5, 8 out of 10, something like that.
Yeah, sounds fair.
Other than it's a reasonable score, and that's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's a solid game, and I think it should be at least praised slightly for that.
Yeah. So. How's the voice acting from the Joker? Because they'd replaced Mark Hamill, wasn't it? He was really good.
Yeah, I mean everyone loves Mark Hamill anyway, and obviously there's that kind of angle going back to the animated adventures that were in the 90s, which were really good, and I think people loved having those voice actors as well. Everyone loved that animated series so much. To be honest, he's not bad. We've still got that maniacal craziness down to a T. I mean, it's not Mark Hamill, but it's certainly doesn't take you out of the experience in any way, and it's not particularly infuriating or anything. And I've forgotten who the new voice actor is for Batman in this one, but again, he's okay. I mean, whether it was just a massive excuse or not, saying about they got a new voice actor for younger Batman, I mean, he doesn't look that much younger, so I don't really imagine that his 30-plus-year-old man is going to have a sudden breaking of the voice or anything.
Yeah. So, he's not exactly a teenager, is he, in this?
No, he's not. And he certainly doesn't come across as that in Origins, this shy little schoolboy trying to, solve crimes or anything. He's a proper bloke. but he's still okay. You know, he's pretty good, and so yeah, it's not. There's no real sort of let down with the voice acting at all in it.
Cool. That's all cool.
But other than that, I'm playing AN as well on Vita, which it's not really worth saying much about. It's trying to be this very difficult kind of almost Spelunky-esque indie title, but it has a real desire to make you not want to play it. It really does, you know. Just because, not because it's difficult or challenging, but because just everything about it puts you off. You know, the controls are pretty dreadful on it. You know, you have things like you'll have to jump on a box to climb up a platform, and there'll be burning hot lava or a flame firing out of the ground next to it. And you're like, that's no problem. You know, I can do that. Just, you know, jump on it. And then just for some reason, your character just slips all the time when you jump onto stuff. So I cannot say how many times playing it, I've jumped up onto a box and just slipped off the edge of it and just died.
Those bloody those slippery boxes.
Yeah, I know.
The bane of all platformers.
But certainly, slippery boxes, you know. You get those wet and you never get out of it, do you? So.
Yeah.
But that on top of that, the voice acting is really bad. They have these really bad jokes about beavers, which... It's funny when I say it like that, but it's really not. It's the kind of humour you expect from a kind of 13-year-old. So sort of random humour, and the music's very repetitive as well. But you know, it's okay. You know, I can see what they're doing, and I think some people take a lot of satisfaction in the challenge of it because the puzzles are quite cool. You know, it's quite well designed. You know, it really does present a challenge, but unfortunately, the kind of random and fickle nature of the game does make it quite frustrating to play, unfortunately. But my real passion project at the minute is I've been replaying all the Metal Gear Solids.
Oh.
Yeah, because I was very much an Xbox gamer with this generation, and most of the last generation, actually about halfway through, I sold my PlayStation 2 for an Xbox. Which is quite disgraceful, really, but I have no regrets. You know, I got Halo 2 online, so that was fine. As a result, I kind of missed out on a bit of Metal Gear Solid because I was always quite a big fan back in the day, the first 1 and 2, and I played a bit of 3 as well. But I never got a chance to play Guns of the Patriots, that came out in 2008. So my
That's
little
the same
project
as me, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I left the series, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame because obviously it offers a real sort of conclusion for Solid Snake and Archon and stuff, and I do really feel like I missed out a bit there. So, and it's great being able to have the HD collection, and I had played the original on my Vita as well. So, I've had quite a few epic commutes to work recently. I won't lie, you know, there's been a lot of Snake coming out here randomly on the train, and in particular the theme tune to Sons of Liberty that. Plays every time you boot up the game. I find it difficult to skip. You know, it's 8:30 in the morning. I'm feeling groggy, and that theme tune is just so damn epic that it just really gets you going for the day. You know, so instead of skipping straight into the game, I'm like, I'll just listen to it one more time and just get really into it.
No.
That's pretty brilliant. I've got the I can't remember what it is, but his little sort of codec that he uses to speak to Otacon and that. I've got that as my ringtone on my phone. Which is,
have you? What's the code there?
You got a copycat.
Yeah. Every time my phone rings, I'm like, yeah.
That's really cool. I read somewhere about someone saying they had a text tone which was the exclamation sound when someone spots you. And I was like, kind of want that, but I might have a heart attack every time.
I got that as well. It does scare the crap out of you every time you get a text.
Yeah, and you always end up sort of just dropping to the floor or trying to find a locker to hide in or something every time it happens.
My message tone is Zelda when he finds a secret. That sort of one. So whenever I open my phone, it's like, oh, what could this message be? And it's not a quarter. It's not a quarter heart or a rupee or anything like that. It's just another offer from some insurance company.
Oh. I don't think that was quite what Miyamoto envisioned when he first created the series all that time ago. One of the things to really reflect the wonder of receiving a text from PPI.
Yeah, oh well. I like it. It's more subtle. I have the Mario theme, as my ringtone, but then I found that a bit embarrassing when it went off on the train once.
Did you?
Yeah, exactly. That thing. So I went to the codec because it's subtle, but gamers would give me a slight nod. They haven't yet, but I've read it.
Look, it sounds like the Illuminati. They've sat on the plane just looking at you like, yes, I know.
Yeah. It is that kind of that knowing look that you get sometimes. It's kind of
Well,
makes it all worth
the same thing with it's the same thing with like stuff like Insert Coin Teas or other people where they do, instead of just printing the name of like the game, they'll do a slogan or a phrase from the game, and like non-gamers won't get it, but like you just get a nod and someone will be like, yeah, I know what you're referencing there. Tidy work.
I saw a really cool t-shirt the other day. It said, don't worry, I'm a limo driver. I thought, yeah, a bit of Dumb and Dumber. I love that. It's just really subtle, but it's both shirts are better. Those ones.
A few months ago, I was in Las Iguanas, and the waiter came up to me. He was like, "Oh, I love your Animus T-shirt." Yeah, I was like, yeah. Another fan.
Nice.
Right. What time is it? I think we might do the new feature, if that's okay, lads.
Go for it.
I have no idea how well this is going to go down.
I'm excited and intrigued, and maybe also slightly scared.
You see.
I don't know what to expect.
I don't know.
It's definitely not a singing feature.
No, I don't know how this is going to come out at all. It might be terrible. It might be awesome. You guys let me know off air in a private message what you thought. We could do it. Actually, we do an honesty box.
Frightening everyone.
We do an honesty box. You could all put a comment in and let you know what you actually think, and you don't have to put your name on it. No, read what you think. But right, okay, let's do this feature. James, you need to come up with a humming tune or something like that.
Yeah. For what?
On the spot.
Okay, yeah, on the spot. Like, oh.
Do.
Do I know?
You.
Okay.
Right, so this is a Stop Getting Films Wrong feature, sort of based on Alan Partridge's episode where was it Michael was describing Bond wrong, the Live and Let Die film?
I think it was.
But so based on that, and I thought I could do my own scenes that I could recreate, and you guys have to guess what film it's from, based on what I'm describing. So,
okay.
I'm not gonna. Let's not shout the answers in. Let's just let Martyn do the full description and see how that goes.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. A monkey sitting on the floor in the middle of a desert with some bones. Do do do, boom boom. Do 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 do. The monkey's playing with the bones. Do do do, boom boom. Do 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 do. Right, the monkey still sitting in the desert. He's getting really active with bones now. He's sort of eyeing them up, sort of checking them out, seeing what's what.
He's getting active. He's eyeing those bones up. I'm sorry.
Boom boom dun 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 dun. Do do. Right, monkey grasping the bone in his hand.
This is one of the more absurd things I've been a part of, I think.
This bone's high up in the air now. Do do. Boo. Right, monkey slams a bone down the floor.
It's Odyssey.
Bones are flying everywhere. Monkey's crazy now. He's like some random animal just falls over. A caribou or something. Cow. I can't remember what it is now. But it falls over.
He's done the research.
Back to the monkey now. He's aggressive. He's smashing up the skulls. Bones are splintering, flying. Some random animal falls over again.
A night out in Croydon.
Monkey's in a fit of rage. I don't know, like the virus from 28 Days Later. Bones are high in the air, and then the bones a spaceship, just like that.
The bones a spaceship. I know that.
2001
Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
I knew, but I didn't want to say anything. I just wanted to see where this went.
I said it to you, and it was just like, oh, I know it. And then I was like, oh god, I've spoiled the whole feature now.
How was that?
That was good.
Very good.
Was good. I wondered where it was going when you said he's eyeing up the bones.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that one. That just popped into my mind.
That is genius, though.
Yeah.
That is proper like Partridge describing something.
But
he's going wild. He's eyeing up those bones now. He likes the look of them.
When you say it pops your mind, does that mean you don't have like a list of films written down to do?
No, I was just going through my mind or something. I thought, oh, that'd be quite good. But then
it's better if you do it from your memory like that, because then it's just funny.
And then I was sort of looking on YouTube for like some of the openings. So I was going to do the Dark Knight one at first, but then I thought that was far too obvious. Because unless I say man holding a Joker mask gets into a car, and they say, oh, what does this Joker think he's doing? Oh no, why does he think he's going to get cut? No wonder they called him a Joker. They're like, it's like, that's too obvious. But,
yeah, I think you made the right choice. That was it was subtle enough.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by the improv though, and also slightly panicked by the potential for Anarchy to just completely break down.
But I've got a few other ideas that could potentially work. So I add a few sound effects in here and there for some of them.
Your suspenseful music was pretty good. I felt the tension.
I got it just from the theme. I was
yeah.
I was like, oh, it's Space 2001.
I think even with this new feature, I can't get away from singing something or other.
You have to get it in there somewhere.
So
anyway,
you were
what's
made
the
for show
question?
business, Martyn.
There's no business. What's the question you were going to ask today?
We'll debrief on that feature at a later time.
Okay.
Right, the question, yes. Back to our weekly question. This week we're going to discuss what game do we think is the most defining game of this generation. So that includes Wii, PS3 and Xbox 360. Doesn't necessarily mean the biggest, best game ever. Doesn't mean it's the most popular or anything like that. It's just when you think of this generation, what do you think people remember primarily about? If you know what I mean. Terribly worded, but you get me. I'll kick things off. I said I've got any guesses what I'm going to say, actually.
BioShock.
Spec Ops The Line.
Mike?
Call of Duty.
Right, Mike's closest. Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say that's
cool.
My defining game. Obviously games have been popular beforehand, but it's that game that really started the juggernaut of a series in terms of billion-pound franchises. It sorted out Halo 2 established multiplayer gaming, but I say it was Call of Duty that really made it crazy, partly because it's multi-format. So PlayStation 3 user had some huge game. A bit of a storytelling, because that was actually when it had a decent story, with say the atomic bomb going off and things like that. It was good because it didn't have Eiffel Towers falling over as well. It was far more subtle. It's essentially set the framework for all FPSs and even other genres sort of subsequently. A lot of terms of the perks and the unlock XP. It just solidified a lot of the mechanics that are used endlessly to this day. And I think that's this generation has been a pretty FPS heavy generation.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that sentiment. I mean, there's been loads of first-person shooters out. There always tend to be for a generation, but I think you're right in saying that Call of Duty is probably the one that's sort of defined it most, even in terms of like the amount of money it's raked in. You think it's quite staggering the amount of units they've sold.
It's a series that made it bigger in games.
Yeah,
in terms of money, things like that.
I mean, it's the only Call of Duty game that I actually ever go back and play is Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2 actually as well. But it was interesting because when I was a bit younger, it was always Call of Duty and Medal of Honor, and they were both sort of Second World War games, and to be honest, they were much of a much really. And me and my friends always used to favour Medal of Honor, but actually I think when Modern Warfare came out, obviously they were stepping away from the Second World War, bringing things up into the sort of present day, giving you all the technology and all the guns that go with it. I think that's really kind of when they kind of broke that stalemate with Medal of Honor. And where is Medal of Honor now?
Yeah, well, I find it funny. It's because Infinity War, was it they essentially created those people who set up Infinity War? Was it Zempella, West? You know the main two guys who got sacked from Activision. Weren't they pretty much the main people who created modern called Medal of Honor? Then after a couple of games, they went to Activision to create Call of Duty, and now they're off to create Titanfall.
Yeah.
So it seems whatever those two guys create, they ought to have something about them that makes it.
Got a bit of magic, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah, clearly.
They try and make stuff a bit crazy, don't they?
Yeah.
And change the formula up a bit, which is all good.
I think no matter what, I'm very looking forward to Titanfall. I keep thinking about it at the moment. Thinking like
I do as well.
Thinking that looks like it's going next 2014. There's going to be a return of a double jump in computer games because that's what Titanfall has, and obviously Mario has it. Well, he has a triple jump actually. That's why Nintendo's better than anyone.
Does the new Zelda have a double jump as well? Doesn't it? Or
when you Zelda as in the
or something?
3DS one.
The 2D bit when you go into 2D land, I think it's got a double jump. I don't know. Could be.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that, James.
Could have dreamt
that. But yeah, return of a double jump in computer games. That's going to be an immense.
That'll define the next generation.
The double jump will define 20. Right, you've heard it here first. Was it the 8th generation? It's going to be a generation of a double jumping.
Generation of the double jumping, yeah. I haven't gone for one single game because I didn't want to because I thought basically I couldn't think of anything that when I thought of this generation I thought of games that make you feel bad, but I mean intentionally. So Spec Ops: The Line would be one of them, because from what I've read about that and from what I've heard from Marty, you kind of end up doing things that are kind of morally questionable that really kind of make you feel, uncomfortable.
I told you not to say this in public, Mike. I told you.
I know. Don't worry about it. I'm not giving away.
What happens in Norwich stays in Norwich.
I'm not giving away. I didn't mean it like that.
I'm sure you weren't the only person to shed a tear over that game, Martyn.
No, that was one of the hardest hitting games. Yeah. It's one of the few games, especially one that's so like shooting up, blowing things up and things like that. One of the few games that make you think,
yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah. Whereas like, The Walking Dead, the decent sort of Telltale Games one, that's obviously very good all the way through, but when you were playing a game like Spec Ops: The Line, I didn't go thinking this is going to be sort of Apocalypse Now computer game, sort of something far more hard hitting than I expected.
Yeah, more again, catch you by surprise.
Very similar actually to atomic bomb going off in Modern Warfare. It's that out of nowhere it just happens. And I thought that was very good.
And I thought you could probably clock that trend because you've got games like the original Hotline Miami as well, which you kind of play it and it's kind of like all your actions are kind of meaningless in the end, and that's kind of what the game sort of gets across. And then I did have a couple of other titles, but I can't think of them right now. But basically, I'll remember it as the generation that started trying to make you feel morally responsible for your choices in a video game, which is not something I've ever felt before. And The Last of Us keeps coming up as well quite a lot. So that is what I'd say.
It's a good parallel to see how gaming's come along is the criticism Duke Nukem got when that came out a couple of years ago. and thinking, right, okay, we have actually grown up a little bit now.
Yeah.
We do actually quite like sort of well-written, emotionally structured games rather than just
tits
boobs and
like,
explosions.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I still like tits and explosions. That's my generation defining game. It was tits and explosions.
Yeah, that's all good points, Michael. James?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I kind of echoed Michael's sentiment really on that. Like, the game I had in mind particularly was LA Noire. I mean, that game had a fantastic storyline that just really hooked me in, to be honest. Had great motion capture and brilliant voice acting, coupled with a kind of, I guess, it was kind of a bit of a sort of serial kind of storyline that kind of takes you through different episodes, but actually had a narrative thread that runs all the way through and kind of keeps you interested. I mean, I just thought it was fantastic, to be honest. I'd never really played a game like it before, and it got a lot of stick for not being sort of shooty enough, I think. But for me, that wasn't really what it was about. It was about actually the choices you make, the consequences of, I guess, when you're doing the interrogations, if you do the interrogation wrong, you can potentially convict the wrong man, and, all the kind of morality that goes with that. Along with sort of, I guess, the character of Cole Phelps, and his kind of his history in the war, and kind of the tough choices that he'd have to make in that, and how that sort of carried through into his career as a policeman. But I mean, for that game really blew me away, to be honest. And it was the first game that I played where I thought, actually, this is like actually being in a film. It's like, directing a film the way you want it to play out.
Yeah.
Did you guys play much of it?
I played a little bit.
I did.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great game, and the way that motion cap on it was just phenomenal. And I know what you mean. I think it was all about the story, really, wasn't it? I can remember that was the big takeaway. I only played it around a friend's house, but the big takeaway for me was those interrogation scenes and the dialogue, and the action.
Yeah,
I found it towards the end. It got a bit repetitive in terms of actual gameplay, but I got still appreciating it for sort of the more story side of things and that side of the
there was a few. Yeah, I mean, I think there was kind of some mechanics, I guess, that got kind of played out again and again in different locations and different situations. So there was like sort of the inevitable car chase, I suppose, and a bit of tailing here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I played the whole thing all the way through, and it was one of those games that had a really gripping storyline, but it had a central character who you're kind of like on the edge of thinking, well, is he kind of nuts or is he not nuts? Because like some of the actions that he does throughout the game is pretty much on the line, or he can be depending on what choices you make.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting, really.
I mean, yeah, he is a maverick cop, but he's not sort of a cliched kind of, he's a maverick, but he gets things done kind of character. He's actually kind of believable in sort of the ways he does things,
and sort of flawed as well, and human, and
yeah, and also sort of, I guess how he kind of tries really hard to work against the sort of corruption of the city, sort of, from the mayor and sort of from his, chief commissioner and that, but actually, in the end, it's kind of it all seems a bit fruitless. Really, it's that kind of hopelessness, and the same is sort of
classic noir.
Yeah, classic noir, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Brilliant soundtrack as well. I think it's definitely one of the classiest games of this generation.
Yeah, that's all fair enough. Gareth, do you have a game or that makes you think about what defined the generation?
Well, I'm unfortunately, due to saying it last, I think I'm going to just sound like I'm repeating you guys, really. But I was kind of torn between my unblinding and undefeatable love for BioShock and the kind of inevitable influence that Call of Duty had, like you were saying. And I think with COD 4, like you were saying, Martyn, whether you love it or hate it, Call of Duty 4 either positively or negatively. I mean, I might say in some ways quite negatively affected things, in terms of what you were saying, how many multiplayer experiences mimicked the whole kind of perk thing. But, it did set an industry standard, and, due to the popularity of it, people did, mimic it and put it into their games. So, you can't deny that influence. But I think, in terms of maybe single-player experiences, BioShock is my game of the generation. And, not just because I do love so much, and just because of the way it kind of captured that story into it. And I think, it wasn't the first game that did stories or anything like that. You had, like, Deus Ex, Thief 2, Half-Life, come before it.
Yeah.
Really got the ball rolling on that sort of thing. But just the sophistication of the storytelling in it, the imagination, it was something that I think is really, really is a defining example of the things that were done in this generation. Like what James was saying with LA Noire, with these great stories. Storytelling was a huge part, and big Hollywood stories were a big part of this generation. Something that really took off.
Yeah.
And so BioShock is a very legitimate example of one of the games that you could say did the best job of that. So it's certainly good to find out like that. And also, tying in with the rest of the stuff saying about The Walking Dead and Spec Ops, it did present these moral choices about the little sisters as well. And I think, of this generation, that was probably one of the first games to really confront those things in that way. I mean, it came out before Fallout 3, didn't it? And
yeah.
And it definitely did. And so, since BioShock, there's just been all these games that have been really confronting sort of morality and questioning, right and wrong and things. So I think it just embodies many characteristics that have come to define this generation. And because it is such a good game, so much imagination to it, it's my game of generation.
That's cool.
BioShock, I think, as a launch title, was really, really strong as well, because it sort of, for me, I was kind of on the fence about sort of PS3 or Xbox, and I played BioShock around with friends, and I just think, wow, this is kind of, obviously it wasn't an Xbox exclusive, but at the time I thought it was, and I just thought that was, just fantastic, and it looked fantastic as well, like the best water effects that I could remember, really.
Mm.
But
it's going to make you buy, well, if you had a PS2 or an Xbox, that sort of thing is going to make you want to jump up to the next gen, isn't it?
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely. I was just thinking about going back to Call of Duty, because it got so big and so popular, and with the sequels, like people complain about it being too successful, essentially. It sort of kickstarted the indie scene as well. People got sick of Call of Duty making so much money. It started the real passion for the independent game and scene.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun at Eurogamer Expo in the indie section. It is for the better as well. It's created a more diverse market, sort of unwittingly. It's made games for the better because it got so successful.
Yeah. Well, whether that's like a developer thing or a consumer thing, it makes no difference. The reality is that when you've got that sort of game coming out, and it's coming out every year, and there's not been much change to it, and then you've got all the other AAA games kind of mimicking it, whether that's, well, mostly in the multiplayer, churning stuff out that's very similar to multiplayer. I mean, even Halo, you can say, unfortunately, it's almost called the Call of Duty bug a little bit with Halo 4, and not primarily. Let's not get any arguments going over that. That's quite heated, but you can see the influence there on Halo 4's multiplayer in particular.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You're right, Martyn. It's it wasn't like we're like, oh, this is rubbish, let's go play indie games. It's just when you're seeing that kind of repetition in AAA gaming, you're thinking, well, where's the creativity? Where's the originality? And obviously, when you have these indie titles coming out and you're seeing like how much of a unique experience it's offering.
Yeah.
Quite interesting opportunities for a gamer.
Yeah. It was all spot on, I think. And I think on that note, I'm just looking at the diary. In 2 weeks' time, both Xbox One and PS4 will be out. And we should at least have one each of those in our hands in that time for the next podcast.
Yeah.
So we've decided what our games for generation are for one just gone. Hopefully we'll have even bigger and better ones for next generation. It's kicking off from next week.
Can I ask what launch titles you guys are getting with your? Because you're both getting PS4s, aren't you?
I don't know. It's hard. I've literally been thinking myself all week. It's like, because I love the hardware. I'm so sold on the hardware, you know. But I'm just like, oh god, there's not really many games, is there? But I think Resogun. I really want to play Resogun, and I might get Killzone. You know, I think it's probably the same old, but you know, there's no denying it's a beautiful looking game. So I think with next gen titles, you're going to be like, you want something that's going to be like, oh, you know, this is pretty good, isn't it? I think I'm only come to. I mean, I think the Xbox One has the stronger lineup, but I think as a general rule, I think Halo 1 on the original Xbox is the one exception in like the last at least 15 years. But launch titles suck. Generally. Like, you look at the 360, like Perfect Dark one, not great really, was it? And don't even get me started on PS3's launch lineup, and even 3DS, which really is the console of this year, you know, like even that.
It's come a long way, isn't it? Yeah.
But so James, you're the only one getting an Xbox One on launch, so hopefully you have some musings on Rise and perhaps Dead Rising 3.
I'm really looking forward to Rise.
I'm getting the Killzone pack, but I'm buying that personally, and I might have one or two games review hopefully at that point as well. We'll see what happens with that. It's a bit crazy at the moment with reviews. No idea what's happening. It's all a bit much. It's too much actually. But my spreadsheet's going crazy at the moment. And Gareth with the PS4, hopefully have some musings as well on that. So we could all look forward to that. So.
It's cool. It's like you guys are my guinea pigs. It's awesome. I love early adopters.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, we can guide you right, Michael.
You are in a great position, right? Because you could we're all there like, oh my god, you know, these launch titles aren't great. We put so much money into this, and you can just stand back there laughing, really, can't you? Just like,
well, not
next
laughing.
year I'll have it for cheaper and all the good games.
But
you can't see me now, but I'm stroking my chin.
Like launch titles aside, like even the hardware for both like the PS3 and the Xbox 360 sort of it's changed so much, to be honest. Like when you think of like the old operating system and the old dashboard on the Xbox, what that used to look like and what it looks like now, and all the features that they've added, you think, well, it's going to evolve. It's probably going to be unrecognisable in about 3 years' time, anyway.
Yeah.
And you know, with both consoles saying they've got sort of a lifespan of about 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be pretty satisfied, I think, whichever.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, consoles, you know, now they're just so much more adaptable. You know, they've got technology where, because they can constantly update it and change it, it's like, you know, you're not going to get a big jump because the console's always improving all the time. You know, last gen, before the one we're on at the minute, I'm getting slightly confused now when I'm thinking about, there's the Xbox and then we've got the 360 and the Xbox One. I'm like, what generation am I on anymore? But, you know, when you think about that, it's like there wasn't any way to really update it in a significant way. So when the next gen did come out, it was a massive jump, you know. But now, because 360 and PS3 were just changing all the time for this generation, you know, they're not going to look that different from the new hardware.
Yeah,
it's true.
But just thinking, I'm getting an Xbox One for Christmas, and I'll be able to compare nicely the two at that point.
Oh, you're getting both, are you?
I'm getting the Xbox One at Christmas time, so
cool.
I'm looking forward to that. I've been saving that for a while. But it's a Christmas present, but I'm contributing to my Christmas present for that, so because it's not cheap. But I'll be saving that for a whole year, put a bit of money to the side.
Are you going to have to pretend to be surprised?
Oh no, save no.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? You paid for it. You go, oh, it's what I've always wanted.
I know, I will be.
How did you know?
I will be crazy, but I've got to order it myself on the wife's credit card, so sort that out. So I'm excited for Christmas.
There you go.
That's fine. Well, that's enough for this week, but in 2 weeks' time, hopefully we can all talk again and discuss our initial thoughts and let my what games not to buy.
You can advise me.
To the next gen.
or you can let my smugness annoy you and then just lead me over the edge of a cliff.
That's if we had managed to get the day one updates installed in the consoles as well.
I was a bit worried about that. Yeah,
might be have to delay it for another week to play it properly. But otherwise, that's all for this week, and it's goodbye from myself and goodbye from James, Michael, and Gareth.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.